So I'm going to give kind of a different talk than I've usually done. Who's seen one of my talks before, just for curiosity? Who's not seen my talk? So I am assuming a bit of information that I'm assuming that you've learned a bit about MGMT before. And so if you're a little bit lost, I'm sorry, but this is the config management camp, so you got to do your homework. Excuse me. I'm going to try and demo a lot of real-world, boring use cases, because I'm using this in production now. And even though they're not as fancy and exciting as some, hopefully it'll show you that you can start getting real value out of this today. So I'm not going to show these videos. Who's read my blog, Technical Blog of James? Just raise your hand. If you haven't, I'll use the joke like, raise your hand so I seem really popular. Everyone? Oh my God. It's just after lunch. So, so I'm working for this kind of company now. You've probably never heard of them. I hadn't when I had joined, but I'm doing kind of infrastructure stuff for them, and they paid for my travel, which I'm very thankful for. So if they're hiring, there's a link there if you're looking for a tech job. And just so you know, these are my opinions, not theirs, and bad jokes are mine and so on. So I want to talk about an elegant future of real automation, and this is really the very beginning. And classically, everything we've thought of as config management, Puppet, Ansible, these tools, they can do, you might think so much, but I really think that's really 5% of what's possible in what I call config management. And real-time systems, this is what config management is to me. We just haven't sort of been talking about it and thinking about it this way for so long. And so I have my Mgmt project, which is trying to achieve this ambitious goal. And this is kind of how I'm like hoping you'll see things. Just some background. I'm kind of really enjoying writing MCL, this language that I've built. And so every day I write something. Sometimes I find a little bug, so I'll just throw in a little patch, or I'm missing a parameter in a resource or feature, and I just sort of incrementally building on this. And I really hope that you will get involved in that way too, because that's how we kind of have an open source community thing, rather than it just, a company, and if you don't pay, you don't get to play. Do you want to see some demos? If you're not more energetic, I'm going to go to sleep. So I really want to hear if you want to see some demos. Yes. That's weak. All right, so I'm going to start off with a lame demo for your lame applause. This is my first demo. We have a website, and it has this like lovely about page and all this stuff and all these fancy icons. I don't know who this is. But there's this docs link now. And it sounds silly, but kind of like in the Puppet days, we have this full comprehensive resource reference, with every single resource that MGMT supports. So you can even look, there's an HTTP server res, all the parameters. I hope this is pretty. All the docs are open source as well. And so you can, if you're a CSS specialist, you can send me a patch, all sorts of weird things. sysctl, everything you kind of expect, and fancier stuff too, which is now possible. So we have a tar resource, we have a gzip resource, Hetzner VM, I don't know if you say that. That's not tested as much as some other stuff. But really all that stuff is right there. Make sense? You don't have to dig into the source, it's just there. And I plan to write some getting started guides here, and hopefully you will too, to make it a lot easier. And Puppet, what does Puppet have? Facts, remember facts? Facts are so stupid because it's only like 5% of the thing. We really want our functions where you can take data like fact data and compute stuff on it, right? So MGMT's primitive are functions which takes inputs, and we have a lot of functions. We have like a lot of functions. We cheat because we actually can import almost all of the Golang standard library. So we get all those functions, all the pure functions for free. And then we have other ones which we're slowly adding as time goes on. And you can just like, I don't know, like pick one, you get the type signature. Everything is strongly typed. So it's not like other languages where you like have some type from bool that turns into a string or weird stuff like that. Is that cool? Yeah. You want better demos than that? If you don't, holla. I'm not gonna do any more demos. I got time. You want to see more demos? Yeah. Oh my God. Okay, so let's actually jump into some virtual machine stuff. I think I actually even have a window open. So I have a little sites folder here, and this is VM host. So I basically have over here on the right, this is a real server that's running. Can you see that okay? Is it big enough, the font? How about that? Yeah? So I'm not going to set up the whole server from scratch because it will take a few minutes longer than I want to spend on this, but there's no virtual machines running on this. And I'm going to actually just run this. I have a little kind of Ansible mode that I just run Mgmt, which is good for demos and prototyping. So it just copies it over SSH, and I think I'm just going to run that. And over here, actually just run screen here. Let's hope the internet's good enough. So list. This is here. If we actually run this really cool, you can see Mgmt is starting up on the left. It's doing its thing. I can actually event loop -- all. And you'll see what actually is happening right now is I have a resource for actually building machine images. And I've asked Mgmt to build 2 different VMs. One is a Fedora VM, one is a Debian VM, and you can see right now this resource, it's basically running this command, virt builder, which is a really fantastic tool, and actually building those VMs in real time. And all the magic, I'll show you this code in a second, to glue in Mgmt, you can see it actually even copies this part here. It's actually copying in the Mgmt binary. So you can actually provision VMs and then have Mgmt automatically run and take over and keep building out the world. So it all is glued together. This was like a big issue in early kind of classical config management days. There were 3 main steps. There was provisioning, which is really setting up the VM or installing the base Linux OS. And then we kicked off config management. And then maybe we had a central orchestrator to organize some stuff. Those are the 3 phases. But with Mgmt, these can all actually be one single code base. So all the analysis you want to do about your whole cluster, it's all quite possible. So these are still going to run a little bit. Just while we do that, I'll actually just quickly pop in and show you some code, if that's not too lame. Want to see some code? Nobody wants to see code. All right, so this is all MCL code, and I have a little virtualization module that you can just use to get some stuff for free, and then I don't know if it's big enough, but this is just a little helper function thing I've got going on here, this include. So I'm basically just saying use the SSH key from this data struct. I'm going to give the machine a unique ID, and this is going to be a Debian 12. This is going to be a Fedora 1. The password, don't hack me. This is the password. I decided just to put it here for the demo. And then that's it. That is going to build the base image. And let's see how that's going. And you can see right here, it finally finished building. And it started, one of them is finished building, one of them still starting up. So we can actually look at test 2. Root, who remembers the password? Password, yes. Okay, so ta-da. It was Debian something. There we go. So that's that guy. And let's see if our Fedora friend is going to finish building. I think Fedora is actually doing some updates. Let's see what's going on here. And see what's going on. Yeah, it's still building. It's a pretty beefy server, but it is. And so libvirt itself has events, and so we can actually monitor all of the events of all those things happening. And this is just a single host, but we can actually cluster these things together as well. And I'll show you a bit more of that in a moment. Any quick questions before I jump in? Oh, and there, finally, it finished building. And so that's running as well. Any quick questions?
So is, you actually put it into the
You have to go really loud, yeah.
So is management actually listening to the libvirt events?
Oh yeah, Mgmt actually wraps the libvirt API and has events, so it knows, and like obviously if I were to like watch Mgmt here on the left, so it's just sleeping now. It did its work, it's sleeping. I can, not that you should do this, but if I wanted to destroy test 2, just basically unplug it, Mgmt says, oh, what did you do? And it starts it right back up, right? And it will rebuild it if it dies and stuff like that. So all the magic of file resources and things that you have come to affect, you can just declaratively describe your VMs. And so just what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to, just going to log into this machine. This is, I just have an SSH tunnel just to jump right into that VM that we just built. That's this one. And just so silly thing, but MGMT automatically builds in some of the common things you want. So for example, screen, and does other useful things like that. For my next demo later, I'm going to show you some stuff, but I'm just going to speed that up because the internet is slow and I don't want you to wait for the package installation part. Make sense? So I'm just cheating just for demo purposes. And so, which comes to my next demo. I'm going to show you a little router demo. So what I have here is MGMT is actually very good at building, actually let me just kill this over here, kill that quickly, router. So let's say, does anyone run like a standard Linux router with 2 ports, the network and the local, and you have like IP tables and DHCP and all that stuff? Has anyone done that? Like the age of well-built custom routers is kind of not as in its heyday, but it's still quite valuable. And I love running these routers. I run them all over all sorts of different sites. They have like WireGuard connecting them all and all these facilities. And just having basically automatically provisioning one of them and doing all of that networking is what I'm going to show you. I think center is the router. And over here, I've already run this to bring it up, but I'm just going to show you what it'll look like to run it again. So this is the router, and MGMT is running here on the left. It's, again, just doing this over SSH, doing its thing. And just if I scroll up here a little bit for you to see. So it goes through all the modules very quickly. And we have this modern type unification algorithm, which is super fast. You can even see on this huge code base, well, not huge, but it's a few hundred milliseconds, so it's much, much, much faster. Originally, when I wrote all this code, I didn't really know what I was doing, and I wasn't using kind of the textbook algorithm. Now we're doing that, and it's collecting a bunch of stuff. And then over here, for example, we can actually see what's going on here. We have basically, I think I even forgot to put the photo of this. Oh man, I have an actual photo of this, which I can show if you want. It was literally just a crappy machine in Canada with 2 ports, and one of them is just plugged into a laptop, like a small switch in a laptop, kind of what you expect. Do you wanna see a photo? I have to open my Signal, so don't like look at all my private messages. This could be embarrassing if there's private messages. We'll see. Felix, don't send me anything right now. Is that loading? It'd be funny if Signal is the part of the demo that doesn't work. All right. Like I said, different pace. This is the casual, boring kind of demos. So yeah, so basically, this is literally it. You have this machine in the corner. This is just a small Linux box. You can see it has 2 Ethernet ports right there. One of them is going to my personal LAN, which is just actually running the same thing, but it's, for all intents and purposes, this is the internet. It goes in here. It comes out here, whoop, does a loop-de-loop, and goes into this switch. And then you have all the devices here. One of these devices is this laptop. And I guess you can't see in the photo, but this laptop does in fact get an IP with DHCP and so on. Make sense? Does anyone have questions about this? And this is just plugged in. It's just like a prototyping area where I am provisioning stuff. So, so that's this machine. You can see here is IPN. This is just looks at the layer 2 stuff. This IP is that machine, so we can ping it. And you can see what I've done here is actually blocked it with the firewall, so it can't ping. We can SSH though. Password is possibly password. Yes, it is. So this is Lappy99. You can see it gets an IP. If we go back to this machine itself, you can look at DHCP, and you can see. So this is actually an interesting thing. Remember how MGMT is always watching? So Vim actually makes that dot file to mess you up, like as it's temporary, and MGMT is like, hey, what are you doing here, messing around on the machine? So it's actually a bit annoying if you're developing stuff. But so I'm just going to kill it. But yeah, so this is all set up with MGMT and hosts. silly things. You put more entries, you get more things here, and all automated by MGMT. Just really quickly, this is a meta module, right? So we have these top-level modules like DHCP and so on. I have even my personal modules in this purpleidea directory, but then miscellaneous helpful utility things I put in here as well. But I also have this meta module, and so meta, you can build kind of bigger pieces. And one of those stock pieces, which is part of MGMT, is one for router. So all you really need to do is you define this router module, you give it the names of the devices, the MAC addresses, what DNS servers, and you run it, and it just builds that machine. So this is small. We also have provisioning, which I've demoed last year, which can start the provisioner and then do that. All pretty self-contained. Add some custom rules here. I could show you changing this and stuff, but we'll just leave that for another day. Cool? Would you like me to give an even more boring demo? Who knows about cups? Anybody? What is cups? So, I just installed cups on that VM that we just made. And just to show you, there's no like cups installed or anything. It's just dead. And just because it's something that I really needed to do for work. This is the host name of that VM. So I'm going to actually just run MGMT on the left, and it's going to log into this machine and do things. Oh, actually, I forgot to bootstrap. So I have to bootstrap. I have this little script just to push the dependencies because I didn't automatically install rsync and stuff like that on this machine, which I should have done. So this is going to just do that. And while it's doing that, do you want to see some code? Yeah. Do you really want to see cups code? Y'all are weird. I hate cups so much. Again, I have a, anyone who's used Golang before? So they have like this module system, and there's some inspiration taken from that. So you have these FQDN style imports, and there happen to be some modules that are part of the MGMT tree itself, but these could be on your personal GitHub. And so I just put those in the modules namespace, and then oops, there's one called cups, and I've just imported those things. I should have installed these base packages, but I'm not doing that just to save internet download speed. And all I've really done is I've made a little map here. So these are real data structures, real data types of machine name to default printer name. And then this is a subset list that says on this machine, this printer should be on these machines, and so on. So you would populate this from a JSON file or just a big data structure for all your sites. I have this small consulting thing I do, and they have all these different offices and all these printers, so it's just easy to have any computer be able to print to anyone else's office. So if someone has a memo to write, they don't want to email it and have them print them out, they just print to that person's printer. It's kind of useful. And so I just have a little helper function here that using this cups module that just takes info about the printer, and then right here they're just listed. So this is in Fu's office. I've changed the name, the IP address of the printer, stuff like that. So really basic, right? Nothing too complicated. And over here, where's my MGMT? Oh yeah. So then I just ran MGMT. Let's just pretend it's running. Ding. And then if you run lpstat, sure enough, we now have a default printer and these two other printers. Wow. I feel terrible about that, by the way, but it works. It's really, it's lame, but it really provides value for me because I never have to touch cups again. And now you never have to touch cups again. I was going to have like a webcam printing with like paper coming out, but like ain't going to fool around with that. That is silly. Yeah, any questions about that? No?
You're running MGMT on Office IT?
Mm-hmm. SMB is where it's at. SMB gets taken over by cloud evil shit, so SMB loves, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, cups. I have another demo that I don't think I'm gonna have time for, so that's why it's missing here. So let's just talk about some fun news and updates. So type unification performance is blazing fast. It's literally I have a friend who's a genius algorithmist, and I finally was like, hey, tell me the real algorithm, not the like crappy one that I wrote. Nicolas, tu te souviens, on avait une problème de performance une fois? So I was hacking, I was like, so like MGM's so awesome, and these nice rudder fellows had me to their office to do some hacking, and to be honest, I'd never really tried a bigger code base, and there were all sorts of edge cases, and he was like, why is it so slow? And I was like, it's slow. And so then I fixed some performance stuff, but I didn't put the real algorithm. And so I eventually moved from the good enough algorithm to the actual textbook algorithm. So this is, you cannot beat it. You find me an edge case, I will fix it right away because it is so fast. It's literally the max legal speed. So it's always very quick, and because it's ON, it's linear performance, so even if you have these 100,000 lines of code or whatever, it doesn't matter. Some new things, we're actually adding a for loop around statements, not a imperative for loop, and an equivalent for around maps. I don't know what to call them both, so at the moment it's for and forkv. If you have better ideas, please tell me. What? It's for key value, right? Do you want to see a demo of that? Okay. Let's see. It's in a secret feat for loop. Oops. Let's stash that stuff. I have to make this secret feature branch. And then the code, I'm gonna just kill this printer shit over here. Where is my demo? So we're just gonna run Mgmt. This is the cool stuff. Examples, lang, for loop, just to see if you wanna see what that looks like. So, I don't have real syntax highlighting yet, but this makes it look better. So imagine you just have 4 lists of, you know, A, B, C, et cetera. And then we take all the lists and we just make this big sublist. Obviously you could write this all in line, I just split it to make it clearer. And so now we have this for keyword, for index value in list, and then nested inside that another one in the value, so that's this key here. And then we just take all this and print out a bunch of stuff, and then just use a print resource to sort of see the collection of vertices. I claim that this is what you will get out. Is that what you expect as well? That should be building, it built, and so we can run that. Oops, I forgot. Lang, okay. And you can see, sure enough, you get all this stuff at the bottom. So why is this actually useful? Nicolas, question? Don't be shy. What?
I'm not sure I understand the code.
Let's look at the code, which is over here. So basically, so remember, so in our language we have expressions, you know, like 4, 6 plus 4, list of x plus, you know, whatever. And then we have statements. Statements like classes, resources, file, whatever. And this particular one is just a print one that will have whatever value is passed to it. And so here we have, again, this is not imperative. These things run, and then the output is extracted. So we have these 2 lists. So it kind of works like an imperative list, except it collects every possibility of this print resource. So if we go through this loop here, this one will start off with index value in list. So that's this list. So it'll be 0, comma, like list 0. That first one right here, right? Oops. And then in that first list, this will be, it's 0, comma A. So then this here will become the V, and this is 0 plus, the V is the A, excuse me, and then this is I, which is that first 0 plus the second 0, so you get A is 0. And then the second iteration, it's B plus 0 plus 1, which is this one, 1, 2, 3, and then the second loop is starting down here, where you have the D, where it's 0 plus that, you know, and so it slowly pushes the numbers over. I added this plus just to make it a little bit more exciting. In practice, what are you actually going to do with these things? You're going to actually do stuff like JSON equals JSON.decode, or my, you know, file.json kind of thing. You'll do stuff like this, and then you'll loop over my JSON with a 4KB. So you can take data, loop through all the list of host names that you want to put on that router, for example, and do stuff like that. That's why we actually have this. Does that answer your question? But you can also sit with me after, and I can show you. So I just wanted to show you that it's not merged because there's we have like a lot of tests. Go test. We have like so many tests. Do you want to see how many tests we have? Are you ready? Showing you all the tests. I told you this is going to be boring demos today. I'm so satisfied doing boring things, but I still want to do fun things. And the other thing is, like, all of these problems are mostly static problems, right? The dynamic, fancy, changing system things, that's what's really coming next in production. We're doing some of them. It has to compile Mgmt to run these tests. That stuff is still coming, but we don't need to do that right now, right? We can already do everything basically that Puppet and Ansible are kind of doing. So use it for those things now, and once you're comfortable doing the normal boring things that are, you know, right in front of you, then I'll start handing you modules that can like build a whole distributed system of Ceph clusters or whatever. And I'll show you that just while the tests pop up. The first time you run the test, it has to go through. Have some water. Another thing we're doing, so I haven't really spent much time on performance optimization because algorithmically, just by design, by intelligence, we're much faster than I think all of the other tools. But there is, you know, we want to be not just fast, we want to be like crazy fast for, you know, million node graphs or whatever, 100,000 node graphs. I'm not sure how big it's going to get. So I've started doing some performance work just to find these like obvious low-hanging fruit things. And if you want to do that, I can show you how to run those. Why are these tests taking so long? So we'll just get this together. So this is all actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'll just show you this way, because I don't want to compile all this stuff for the tests right now. But basically, these are just the MCL tests of one type, and we have like 277 of them, and there's like, they're in this really cool format, so you can just look at, like, we just have about 40 tests just for the for loop, not even the KV stuff. So you just write some MCL code. You can see all this. You can have like classes in the for loop, and then includes, and like then run stuff, like all this crazy scenarios. Turns out there's all these little cases to test, and there's like 1 or 2 that are still failing. But this is what hasn't been possible without my friend Sam, who's like doing great work helping me get all this done. So that's coming soon. Okay, so let's just make a clean copy. This we don't need. This we can kill. Now we can go over here. I was running. So what was I going to show you? pprof. Let's see. So if you just use this magic environment variable and you run Mgmt, for example, like this. Oops. Okay, so Mgmt runs. You can see it actually will tell you somewhere. It's supposed to tell you. Is it working? So you just run it, and then anytime you press Control-C, I'll just kill it, it will write this pprof file out. And then you can just run go tool pprof. Because I don't remember this command by heart. I think that's right. And then if we open up this web server, you get, oops. There you are. So this is actually, all this tooling, all the flame graph tooling is all there. So you can just get this beautiful view. If you don't know this, what this basically means is it runs MGMT or whatever program, and it samples it. I forget if it's like every 100 milliseconds or something. I forget. It's some hard-coded value. And it just constantly takes stack traces, like hundreds of stack traces. And then it...
Is that like a traditional valve grind report?
That's a good question. I do not know the answer. He asked about valve grind stuff. I do not know anything about valve grind. I know it exists in roughly, but I'm not the stack trace guy. I'm the architect guy. And so you can see different colors of different things. So basically, it shows that if you look at this part of this branch, basically, if you click on that, 10% of the time we're spending in this function. Whereas another, however wide that is, another 10%. And if we run kind of very big, large, complex graphs for half an hour, you'll see where MGMT is spending a lot of time. And I actually found like a crazy amount of CPU time was spent in a function that I had added just for safety. And it turns out it's only useful for debugging, so I'm actually taking that function out, and we are significantly faster for no reason other than you have to just look into this from time to time. So there's so much low-hanging fruit to optimize, and I have not optimized for your workloads because I don't really believe in doing that, especially for free. I'm working on stuff, and every time I'm like, hey, I really want this to be faster, I go and I dig and I find, oh, that this little bit of code needs optimizing. And that's been very nice as a pattern. Make sense? Boring? I know. What else is there? I don't have the best line and file reporting on errors. You don't know exactly where the error is if you make a bug when you're writing code, because it's a long story. But we have a feature branch of this that I should hopefully merge maybe this week even. It looks almost done. And so that is on the way to really be user-friendly. And in the source tree, there's this whole like modules directory now. So you can look on GitHub. Oops. There you are. You just go here. I even pushed some more today. These are all kind of stubs. These are things that I'm using that may or may not have the things you want, but I just figured even if my code wasn't perfect or incomplete, I wanted to get it out there. So you can start playing around with these things and add some more. There's this project called Shorewall, for example, and like it's super useful for building firewalls and stuff. And now I have this module. So every time I'm building firewalls, I just pull one or two things down and it's done forever. So you can just poke around. These are kind of, like I said, these modules, kind of what you'd expect, like some templates, things like that. I think if you have experience with Puppet and how they organize their modules, and you're kind of annoyed about like, why did templates have to go here and all that stuff, the way this works is just so much nicer. And I've been wanting this forever and ever. So now you have it too. Yeah, any quick questions? No more quick questions. Y'all are shy. Fun demos. I showed you type unification. I showed you the for loop, flame graphs, and modules. So that was the demos. I will probably have a bit of time extra so we can kind of fool around a bit, but just to kind of close out the slides and get that out of the way. There's still so much to do. I see this taking over the world in so many ways, but to get to there, there's still lots of stuff to do. So I really need to write some getting started guides just to show you how to build your base module. Like basically package file service kind of thing, just how do you do that? There's examples now in that modules directory if you want to figure things out, but like an actual doc post and actually publishing those, if you want to write these, I would love that. That would be great. We actually, in our function engine, I do actually have a new version of this that I'm planning to write just for like super fast speed. This one works perfectly fine, but when there are error scenarios, like when there's something is crashing, which shouldn't actually happen at all, but there are technically some races that still exist there and I feel bad about. So something to do, but it's not blocking me, right? It happens once in a while when I'm doing bad things, like messing around. But it is there. And the other thing is we want to have more prepackaged tools. So I actually, if you look at the Puppet community, what percentage of people were writing modules? Like writing Puppet code themselves? Half? Like of the people, of users to writers? Like there was like, I don't know what the ratio was, but there was a good amount. Yeah, some people debate how much. It's not really clear, but you did really need to be involved, right? You couldn't be someone who, like if you did only simple things, you couldn't be someone that only consumed code. You had to write some stuff to glue things together and so on. Whereas in MGMT, I'm confident that you'll be able to have a module that literally has a whole small business infrastructure or data center, all self-contained. That will be pretty easy for you to use. So we're looking for the kind of the top Puppet people, if you will, who really understood the declarative way of doing things and want to learn the reactive way to do things to write those core modules that everyone is going to use. And so that's you. We should do that. The graphs that we generate, the function graphs, I'm not really talking about the shape stuff, but we can even optimize those and they'll be even faster. So this will be kind of cool. Performance improvements that I said. There's lots of exciting work to do. I'm just trying to throw out some things there if you like Golang concurrency and so on as ideas. I've been a bad business person. I don't really want to be a business person. I want to have a free software kind of mentality where we work together as a community. And to be honest, most of you suck. Like most of you haven't really helped out. But I'm still here doing it because I want to do it. And I'm trying to enable other people to do the work of sales and consulting and all of those things. So my current call to arms is if you are a salesperson or consultant or one of those types of people that wants to talk to other humans, I don't, except for you. And so my idea is that you'll kind of talk to those customers and I'll basically help you build products or give you mostly complete products that you maybe tweak slightly for your customers. So if you're interested in this kind of thing, obviously you give me a percentage that is fair because I want to be able to keep developing this and hire more people to work on it with me. So that's the thing, getting customer feedback. I think there's actually very good money to be made. And really understanding what the next product I should build for you is. So we have a provisioning tool that works great. We have router management, which it's going to get more features, but also is pretty great. We have virtualization stuff, which I showed you a bit of today. I was planning on building possibly a small container orchestrator to show how easy in MCL you can build kind of a mini Kubernetes almost, but that doesn't suck. Ceph clustering, that's one of those things we can easily build. I've already started building this whole workstation management. So imagine you're a small office or even a medium office and you want to just deploy and continually manage a fleet of workstations, right? There'll just be a module you can use and it will just set up all those things, including printers, which is why you got to see that printer stuff. So that's one piece of those things. So kind of like a SMB in a box. You literally will need a laptop, you plug in all the hardware, a switch, everything's on the same LAN. You got the provisioning, you got the router, you got the workstations, you got the printers. What else could you want in life? Is there anything better? So if you're interested in doing kind of this kind of consulting stuff, let me know. We can just recap.
Now let me recap.
I think this guy is funny. It's Arthur Benjamin. I don't like remaking slides. We have this great kind of thing going on Matrix now. We can just open this up for you. I use the Element client, which is a bit clunky, but works okay. We have the website, which you've seen, which is over here. Kind of looks nice. It's all open source. You can, or the code's all there. You can have this consulting page. You can click here and blah blah blah. Have some people that are interested in doing consulting work, and there's a contact form, which I hope still works. And docs, and we're going to be expanding on this as well. If you're good at websites and design, get involved. Matrix, we have this really cool group of all these, people talking about MGMT stuff. So feel free to join. Alexi, he's here. So yeah, you can just bug him. And little community kind of group. It's basically what I have to show you on Wednesday, so not tomorrow, the day after. We're going to be here in Ghent, in this one of these buildings, and there's going to be a workshop where I'm just going to be here hacking with you all. If you want to do some stuff, get hands-on with MGMT, write some modules, test your module. Come with a Linux machine or Linux VM if you don't have one. And there's a new release I just did not too long ago, which you can also go over here, MGMT, and you can go releases. And 3 days ago, you got our latest version. I don't believe in big fancy version numbers and we're version 7.6, all that nonsense. So they're kind of dumb, but they work. Hey, someone reacted? Who knew that was a thing? I didn't know that was even a thing. Hi, whoever Dig Life is. Yeah, I have some stickers. If you want a sticker, come grab one. I'll be just outside this room. Or if you're in a rush, come grab one at the end. And that's basically my talk. Thank you. We have some time for questions. We have a good 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes. So if someone wants to do that, or if you want to see something, I can live demo for you all day long. Questions besides Felix? Felix is going to be bothering me all week, so let the other people have a chance. I like you bothering me. It wasn't a diss. Any questions? Don't be shy. Go on, Felix. Tell me.
I hope it's a good one. You showed that thing where you import Git, whatever GitHub on, and when you do that in Golang,
Yep.
we have this tooling that creates this whole modules.net with all these hashes and then has this
Yep.
dependency situation resolved. And do you do this in MGMT in the same way?
Felix is asking about this, these imports here. I didn't understand all the internals of how Golang's doing it. I know some of the internals of how Golang is doing it. Just assume that syntactically we're similar, but we're actually implementation-wise quite different. So the way our import system works, we have this recursive importer, which is quite different with how Golang works, building object files. So we're not building object files because type unification is so fast. So there's kind of two ways to look at import systems. You can either split things into separate jobs and compile them separately and then glue them together, or we can import everything and compile it together. And we do the latter because it actually is a lot easier for debugging and understanding the system as a whole, doing type unification as a whole. So that's how we built the import system, and I think it's going to prove in the long term to be in the better way. Yeah.
It will always just take the latest.
You're asking about how if you want to pin a specific version. Yeah, so if you want to pin a specific version, so these get downloaded to a specific path, and you just have to put a git clone in that path, checked out as a git submodule, and it just fucking works. And for everyone who doesn't like git submodules, I have a small consulting that I will give you on git submodules. I will take you from afraid to expert for very little money. Git submodules are a beautiful tool for pinning versions. This is what they're great at. And if you are afraid of that, then we can write a small Golang wrapper that wraps on top of that. Golang itself put this whole go.mod file to pin versions, which was a disaster and is a disaster because we already have a data source, a data store for that, which is Git itself. So they did it wrong. Their excuse was we want to support Mercurial and Git, and in MGMT we only support Git, so we don't have this problem. So yeah. Any other questions? I can configure some more printers for you if you'd like. So hopefully it wasn't too boring, it wasn't too energetic, but hopefully you realize that it's real and it's in production. And there's some new code. I pushed a Prometheus module just today and a bunch of other stuff. And if there's no questions, I guess I'm free.
I have one question.
Yeah, one more question.
So you say what's about the scale
It's definitely under 1 million nodes. Way under 1 million nodes. I can't tell you, I can tell you, what can I tell you? I have, in Montreal, I have one customer with 12 sites. Not, you know, this is not 100,000 node things. These are SMB stuff, right? So it's under 100 total machines across 12 sites, and slowly adding more and more automation around all of those different things. So it's kind of small scale in that sense, but it's actually been lovely because I'm proving out the tool and fixing things. We're not going for Google scale. We're like the people's automation tool, at least for now. And hopefully we get some kind of bigger corporate users who want to invest engineering time. But I'm building stuff that's useful for me in what I'm doing. And until one of you with a business comes along and says, we have money, we want results, that's the kind of scale we're at. Yeah, good question. Any other questions? If you want, come see me, and thank you so much for listening.